Tell me in the comments if you're tracking what I just did. I gave you my details, which you don't know what that feels like, and I gave you a way to feel them by talking about feeling alone, feeling like an outsider. You guys, okay, good. This is revealing universals through your specifics. You're consciously building word bridges so that people can relate to the broad themes of human experience by hearing what happened to you. Now, the mistake most people make is they just talk about what happened to them. They don't go that extra step of connecting it to the sort of universal themes of human experience. Mary Wong is missing too much. She'll watch the replay.
Hello. Hello, ladies.
Hey.
We're just getting organised, and there's quite a few of you. Oh, unmute myself. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Super. Oh, hello, Jan.
Hello.
Jan's wearing her lucky green.
Yes, I do like my green top.
Okay. I do have the dogs here in the room with me, and I might have to, if they're not going to settle, have to go and chuck them out. Okay.
I just had to chuck the killer cat out of the office. I know what you mean.
Yes. Well, they were very quiet until I started speaking. So other people, Karen and Margot and Jenny, you're welcome to put your mute sounds off if you want to have a chat and just sort of tell us where you are coming from. So I think Felicity's a Townsville lady, Karen's a Townsville lady, Margaret, you're Townsville. Jenny, I haven't, do you want to let us know where you're from? I'll just make sure that she's unmuted. This is my little one that's wanting to be part of the whole process.
Cute.
I think after being away for a little while, they're really, really making sure that I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
So, gee, it's been a big week for you, Jan.
It's been a massive week. I was worried I wouldn't have a voice because my voice went yesterday evening. So I was like, oh, this is going to be good for the webinar tomorrow. But no, I think we're okay.
Look, 1 hour, I'm sure that I'm sure that it'll hold up, and then you'll crash and burn afterwards. But don't forget Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. So it's been a huge it's a huge month. I'm going to quickly just take this little one and pop her outside because I think that she's getting all excited hearing all the sounds. So
Okay.
I'll see 2 ticks and
I don't know if anyone's there. But I'd move my sign. Just trying to get myself all sorted. I can't hear anybody. I can hear a baby.
It's me, Katie. I'm in a library.
Oh, hello.
I see you. Hey, you're a rock star at the moment, aren't you?
Katie St. Clair, it tells me. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people it tells me is here, but only you're talking. Katie.
Oh, well, I just saw your beautiful face and I was like, oh, hello. Rock star.
There's Karen.
Jan's sorting out and welcoming everyone. That's fantastic.
I just tried to move things around a little bit, and then I heard a baby crying. That was all I heard, and I was like, "There's a baby on here, but no people." But
I think
Katie, she's at the library.
What? So I'll just see if Jenny can be unmuted. Okay, so there's no option to unmute Jenny, so it must be on her side if she wanted to have a chat. And I'll unmute Karen.
Hi, it's Margot here.
Oh, Margot, hello.
I muted myself to say hello, but there's building in the background here with a lot of hammering, so I think I better mute myself again so it doesn't interrupt.
Look, Margot, once we start in 3 minutes, we will mute everyone, and way because that way we can keep it nice and clean and clear
Yeah. Okay.
for everyone. So hi Jenny, nice to see you. And let's see if we can unmute you now. Jenny's one's not coming up with an unmute button, so I'm just thinking it must be on her end. No. Okay, super. So yeah, oh, I can see you've got your chi consultant sign up.
Yes, I heard what you said. It's just printed on a piece of A4, but I did as you told me to.
Well, you know, I mean, the worst bit about Facebook is that depending, like I do everything, all the postings from my phone, and when you're doing it from your phone, you can't always tag things. So sometimes I can tag the person, but I can't tag the business. And, you know, it just gives people an idea, you know, while they're looking at you, where to find you. So, okay. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you for joining us. It's a good day to join.
It is I'm very excited. Definitely.
Have you been
Hi,
to
Karen.
Have you been to one of Jan's talks before?
I have. I've been very fortunate. I went to one of her talks and she did my astrology report for me over the Christmas New Year period. So super exciting.
And that's your astrology for your personal astrology.
Yes.
and the feng shui for the house?
No, just my personal astrology, like my birth chart. And it was really interesting. It's very good.
I love all that. Oh, look at your sparkly cup. Look, I've got a pink sparkly one today.
Have you?
Do you know, like, I don't know, yeah.
Yes.
With a tea bag in it. You know, in South Africa, you wouldn't drink a tea, you know, drink it with your tea bag in. You would have a teapot. Been living in Australia for more years than I ever spent there. So, yeah.
True Australian now.
True Australian now. So, Jan, we've got 1 minute to go. Welcome to everybody. And I'm just looking at the Galaxy 8 doesn't have a person, have a name. So we're just going to say hello to you and welcome.
I'm trying. I'm new.
Hello. And who is this new person we are speaking to?
I'm Lynn Wolf.
Hi, Lynn. Lovely to meet you, and so glad you can join us. And you know, lots of people in terms of Zoom. It's a new thing for everyone. And you know, so we're all learning how to do this, and I'm just learning how to do it in a more public way. So my mistakes are visible to everyone. And Katrina's just joined us, and Kathy as well. So welcome to everyone. It is now midday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you all, and then that way we can make sure that everybody is not going to disturb all the wonderful things that Karen has, Jan has got to say. I'm doing Karen, and okay, mute Katrina. Okay. For this bit, Jan, I usually take my glasses off because there's no, not you don't have to take yours off, but usually there's a reflection. Do you see a reflection in my eyes? Can I keep them on today?
Mm-hmm.
Great, I can see.
Does help to see, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, we're going to start now, and I want to extend a very warm welcome to the absolutely wonderful, glorious Master Jan Leese. Now, Jan has recently been what I call ordained as a master, and there are less than 50 of these in the world. So it's really quite a special thing to have someone who is so learned. And that's not just learned in terms of knowledge, but also in terms of time, because you've been doing this for a very long time. So welcome, Jan. And would you please tell our beautiful, gorgeous audience a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much, Taryn. Thank you, everybody. I'm hoping my voice isn't going to go because it started croaking last night. And so I've got 10,000 cough sweets here and about 4 glasses of water. So I should be okay. But I apologize if there's any squeaky voices. So when you say talk about myself, my feng shui journey?
Well,
Or
I guess the first bit is just tell us a little about you, Jan, the person, because you weren't always a feng shui consultant.
okay, so I think that's a very good comment, because how it all happened was that I've always been interested in energy, and I always had 1,000 questions for my parents. So growing up, from the time I was born, I was always protecting the environment and protecting animals, and used to get myself into all sorts of trouble from others because I was so outspoken as a young girl, and I should do as I'm told and be seen and not heard and all that jazz. And but they've always been very dear to my heart, and I could never understand why things happen, why things happen when they did. And I used to ask all these questions and get very frustrated because nobody could ever give me any answers. And my parents used to be very annoying because they used to say things like, oh, because why is a crooked letter and you can't make it straight? Or because pigs can't fly in the middle of July? Or you'll find out when you're 21. Nobody knows till they're 21. And honestly, I mean, I was such a innocent little girl that I really thought that when I was 21, I was going to get a book that answered all my questions about life. You know, why are the cycles of nature the way they are? Why do trees do what they do? Why do animals do what they do? Why do people eat animals? Why do they have dogs as pets and then they eat cows? And these are all my questions. I couldn't understand any of it. And when I got to 21 and I did not get this magical book telling me all the answers to all my questions, it sort of set me on a journey. And I was like, okay, no one's going to tell me anything. I've got to start finding this out for myself. And because it just never made sense to me why things would happen. And I would see things happen with family, friends, and all that. And so I started looking into energies. And I, over the many years, I did homeopathy and reflexology. I did all different types of kinesiology. I can't even think now. And I always sort of signed up for the best courses there were. And I was like, this is it. This is the one that's going to give me the answer. And I used to get very excited. But then when it got to the end of the courses and I'd do the best ones, they'd go for years, I'd be like, so, well, I learned quite a lot, but that still doesn't answer my questions. So I'd never turn up for the final exam because I didn't want to actually be that person. I just wanted to know that information. And I'd use it for my family and see great results, and, you know, and then just take my family along to the professionals, and I wouldn't actually do it myself. And then this went on for a long time. And then I think when my kids were little, one of them was quite ill. And it was actually a feng shui consultant who helped my child after nobody else could find out what was wrong. We'd been down the doctors and the specialists and the naturopaths and the homeopaths and the kinesiologists and everything that I believed in. And nobody could quite put their finger on what was wrong. And when the feng shui consultant came out, and she was a visiting classical feng shui consultant from England, we lived in Zimbabwe then, she told me it was the energy of the bedroom. And which, you know, I was like, doesn't make sense because the two boys stayed in the same bedroom. So I was like, how can it be affecting one and not the other? And so after much back and forth and all the rest of it, and taking him out of the room and putting him back in and everything, he definitely got better when he was out of the room. So luckily we were in the process of building an extension as well. So he was eventually going to have his own room. So now I had decided which room he was going to have. He wasn't going to have the old room. But this sort of sent me on a journey. And it gave me more questions than answers to begin with, and which frustrated me because my whole life was about trying to find answers. And so eventually I bought every single book there was that I could find on feng shui. And all I remembered about this woman was that she was a feng shui consultant, but she was visiting from overseas, and she was only there for a few weeks. So I didn't actually get to spend any time with her, know much about her. She was just there and gone, and I was just lucky to have got her for those little bit of time because there wasn't anybody else. And so I read all these books and they just confused me even more. And I tried doing all sorts of things from the books, and some things worked and some things didn't. And I sort of tried on my mum's house and experimented with all the family and friends, you know how you do when you've got a new passion. And so this was about 28 years ago. And as I say, some things worked and some things didn't. So that continued. It was always my passion by then, because it turned out that all the other energies that I'd studied seemed to relate to the feng shui. So like I'd studied all the Chinese meridians, and of course we use that in the feng shui. And all the way the energies go with the kinesiology and the reflexology. There's a part of that in the feng shui. The more and more I got to learn about it, the more it turned out that the journey I'd been on with the energies had actually been part of my feng shui journey. Of course, that's how life works out, isn't it? But I didn't know it at the time. And my mum gave me an article that was from Australia, which was really strange because we were living in the middle of Africa. And it was from Better Homes and Gardens, and we didn't even have magazines there. And it was from this Chinese master, feng shui master, and she said, you should study with him. And he was in Sydney. And I was like, well, I'm in Zimbabwe. How's that ever going to happen? But as it turned out, we ended up leaving Zimbabwe and going to live in Australia. And I straight away did my feng shui in the house and the business. And when we got here, and one day this lady walked in and said she was a classical feng shui consultant. And that was when I remembered, the lady that came into my life all those years ago, she was a classical feng shui consultant, not a feng shui consultant. What does that mean? What's the difference? And so she explained to me that classical feng shui means it's the traditional Chinese system. So it's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And the classical feng shui is staying true to the Chinese system, whereas feng shui is, a lot of it is the Western diluted version of it. And some parts are really great, some parts are not what we use in classical, and there's been a little bit taken and things built onto it, and so it's not the true clear one from a long time ago. So she did an amazing job, and so I was like, okay, I want to study classical feng shui. Now I understand. So I followed this woman around and did everything I could with her, and they couldn't go to any courses. And lo and behold, after I did sign up to start doing my courses, and I turned up at this, was one of my first Chinese masters. I'm sat in the classroom and I'm watching him and I'm thinking, he seems so familiar. And it turned out he was the man that was in the article that my mom had given me all those years ago. So it was amazing, because I think it was about 15 years later or something. So I'd been on this whole big long journey. And now here was that man, that his article was what really made me go, I want to be like him, but there was no way to be like him. And so that's how it continued on. And so I studied under lots of Chinese masters. And really for the last 10 years is when it's got really serious. When I started studying under the Chinese masters, and that I didn't tell them anything about my past feng shui, because I thought they might look down on it and go, oh no, you were doing the wrong thing. But I'm glad I went down that wrong journey to begin with, because I have a lot of clients who read the books and read articles, and they tell me stuff of what they've done, and I know exactly why they're doing it, because I did it too. And and then we've got to just bring them back to the true path. So it's so that's how it's been in my life for I think forever, but just I didn't really realize it until I was actually finally with the classical master.
Well, it really aligns with your true soul purpose to come here and to help others. And certainly in the last couple of years, things have really grown in your local community. People have opened their hearts and their doors to you, including, this week, you setting up, well, you set it up a little while ago, but setting things up at the Ville, which, that's really getting it out there, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're doing the astrology for the Ville for a couple of years now, and then this year they wanted to do a lunar display. So they did the display. I just brought all the bits and pieces for them and told them about it. Because if you go to Sydney, Melbourne, all that, it's just beautiful, like Lunar New Year. They've got massive animals and beautiful stories and everything. So we're just starting small, but there's so much to learn and see, and Miss Songs is on board, and they've got all the lion dancers and everything, so it's just growing every single year. And the Ville's just been totally open about welcoming all this diversity. It's wonderful.
And of course all the social media that went with it this week, on our radio station, on our TV stations. It's really been a big week.
Yes, it has. That's why my voice is going.
So I'm very grateful that you've joined us today. And, most of these ladies are sitting here probably on the edge of their seats, all been waiting patiently to learn a little bit about what does, this year of the metal rat mean? Because last year when I spoke, when you spoke and I attended your event. It was in the beginning part of the year before we had all our floods in Townsville. And you told us all this information and it was really interesting, but we didn't really know what it all meant. And then next minute, we could see it, feel it, hear it, touch it, smell it, the whole lot. And when you did another event midway through the year, and we're right in the middle of everything, we really got to understand what that all meant. But what I really love about your talks is that it gives people an opportunity to understand what lies ahead for the year. And it's not always all doom and gloom, which, you know, there's some good stuff as well. So do you want to start sharing a little bit about that?
Sure. And so with the doom and gloom, I just have to say, you know, the biggest part of everything is what we do for ourselves, including using our mind. So, you know, I always worry about what I'm going to share, because I know it's perceived differently by every single person, because perception is what's the only thing that's really real, isn't it? You know, so, you know, what I'm thinking is exciting, other people may think is a bit daunting, you know, and vice versa. So I was really worried last year because I could just see all this flooding and mud and mess, and Townsville especially being hit with you know, sadness and needing healing. And I really didn't want to say anything, but I thought I've got to come through with it. But I sort of like touched on it and didn't really go down as hard as I would have done perhaps normally. But yeah, so when it all started, my phone just never stopped with all the pictures, and everyone's like, oh, I came to your talk, and oh my goodness, look at this, look at this. And the thing is that the layers of energy, when we're analyzing it for the year, we're sort of looking at it as for the universal energies, and then how that is received by each place depends on other layers for that place. So this year for the metal rat, I'll tell you a little bit about the metal rat. It's going to be depending on where people are as to how much of that they're going to receive. So, so in general, for the metal rat, there's 5 types of rats, and this one is a metal rat. And the rat is a really special astrology animal, because he's the very first animal of the 12 astrology animals. So he indicates the beginning, everything starting again. And of course, it's 2020, so it's a new decade as well for everybody, never mind the Eastern astrology. So the metal rat, he's the metal is all about power. So he's the metal sitting above the rat. And in the 5 elements system of earth and fire and metal and water and wood, the metal produces water. So what we've got this year is strong metal sitting on top of strong water. And the metal actually creates water. So the metal above is making the water. So we can say that everything that relates to metal is very, very busy, and it's going to be creating the water. So we start with the metal. That's all about governments, CEOs, the father, the hierarchy, anybody who's in charge. It's about the mind. It's about, you know, like meditation, using the mind, but thinking, your brain, all these things can relate to the metal. So we can say that anything that's in power is probably going to be very busy this year, being very productive, producing something. Okay, and we'll look at what something is in a second. And the thing is, if somebody's very, very busy, they're going to end up tired, aren't they? And they become depleted when they're just constantly working, and they get depleted. And so we can say that everything that's in power is perhaps changing because it's being depleted this year. And I don't actually watch the news. I live in a happy little bubble in my own little life, and every now and again my husband likes to inform me of what's going on. And so when he was telling me about what's happened with Prince Harry, to me, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody at the top is being depleted. The top is changing. The level at the top is changing. It's becoming less. It's not like this big, you know, sitting up holier than thou than it used to be. And yeah, there's quite a few stories that have been coming through to me, which is exactly what I mean. If you can understand everything in power becoming less, they're becoming less because they're thinking more, they're being more productive, and they're producing what we've got underneath is the water, which represents the rat. And so the water for the rat is a pure yang water. It's like the ocean. So it's very, very, very strong. And we've got yang metal sitting on yang water. And while we can go, metal creates water. So this is a nice harmonious flow, lovely, you know, whereas last year was earth on top of water. Earth controls water. So we had controlling energy last year. This year you can say it's more harmonious energy, but it's very, very, very strong. So it's not for the weak this year. It's definitely not for the weak. This is the year with the yang metal. It's like a big sword. You know, you want to use that sword and you want to cut everything that doesn't serve you anymore. You want to, you know, you're going to get depleted if you don't get rid of what you don't need anymore. This is the year to really be thinking what serves me and what hasn't served me. And this is the beginnings. It's all about beginnings. So you've got the metal with the water, with the rat. And as I said, the rat's the very first animal in the 12 animals of astrology. He's also the very first hour of the day, going from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And so he represents the beginning of each day. So every single thing about this year shows it's about new beginnings, and it's about the old system being depleted. So for all of us, we just need to get on board, and we need to not be wasting any time doing what doesn't serve us anymore. It's a great year to be pointing out to those in charge, it doesn't work. We need a new system, right? And you know, we've been seeing that because the energy really starts coming in about November. So we've been seeing that already. We've been seeing a lot of systems are being finally changed, like, you know, banning single use of plastic and plastic, you know, straws, all these things that are going on, which are really quite obvious. But it's now that the governments and everybody, they're getting it and they're changing it. They're very busy doing things. And for us, we always need to make sure that for this year, we're looking at both sides of the story, the yin and the yang. It's the rat is half yin and yang. He's one of the few animals that are completely balanced like that. So it relates to our mind. We've got to be balanced. We've got to get rid of what doesn't serve us. It's about being productive, but being productive in what we want to do about new beginnings. I'm rambling on here.
Oh, I don't think it's a ramble when we're all sitting on the edge of our seats and listening to each and every word that you had. In fact, you know, when you spoke at my meetup the other week, one of the things that really held true was about, you know, this year with the metal rat is certainly a year about saving. And I'm not sure if budgeting. Yeah. And that's been really great. Oh, sorry, I'll just click. That's, hold on, someone's popped up making. So yeah, and that was really interesting because it, you know, out at the shops or doing something, and you kind of want to just put something else in the trolley. Like, actually, you know what? It's the year of the metal rat. If I don't budget this year and have extra money in the reserves, then I can't take full advantage of next year, which is the year for investing.
That's right.
So, you know, this little bit of information, you know, we all take away what we hear at the time. And that's why it's good to hear things often and regularly, because you get to hear more of the story that you weren't ready to hear the first time round. But certainly it's helping with me holding back. Yes.
Yeah, because the metal's producing the water, and the water is always about money. So there's a lot of money being made, but there's nothing holding in that water. So people could make a lot of money this year, but it just goes. So if you don't put a budget in place, if you don't with your man luck control it, it could just go. And that metal and water as well, like it's coming from the head out, it's expression and creation. So much expression and creation this year. I think I said at your talk that 1960 was the last time we had a metal rat year, and that was when the Beatles came fully into their own, and that, you know, the music is still around. It's the year that we, you know, to go inwards and create books, songs, poetry. You know, I think we'll look back at this year and we'll go, wow, that was an amazing creative year, that things that'll be around forever and a day. So great year to write a book.
Oh, great. I'm launching another share book.
I saw that.
I'm following your advice very carefully, because you've done, you know, my house chart and you know, other charts. And in fact, today, while I'm sitting and doing this webinar, I am sitting facing the direction that Jan had told me to face, where my good energy comes from. And I've got something, you know, behind me for my support. I thought, you know what, I'm going to just follow this to the end game. But, you know, each year when the energy changes, you know, it changes according to where you sit in your astrological chart, but then it also has a layer with your house as well.
Yes, that's right. So the universal energies is what I've just been really talking about, and I could go on about that for the whole year. But so also each year, the feng shui energies, there's a layer that changes. So it's only one layer, but what happens is it depends on what the other layers are in that space as to how it will actually affect each home. So I have made up a little freebie for your group, but my test hasn't worked yet. So I'll send you the link as soon as the test has worked. So I was like, test, which has got a little energy map of where each layer of energy is and what they can do about it. So we're only talking about one layer, but if you balance that one layer in your house, that makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference. But doing a full consult, I'll be looking at all the layers and seeing what that one layer does. So sometimes perhaps you could have sickness energy come into a certain room, but if all the layers underneath are, so sickness energy is actually an earth energy, and if all the layers underneath are really good energies and perhaps they're metal, that sickness energy, probably nobody would even notice it, you know. So you can never have each house is the same. Every house is different. It's like a snowflake. Each house is completely different. So if they've got really good layers underneath, that sickness energy is probably not going to even be noticed. But if they've got some layers underneath that aren't that great, this will be the final straw. They'll be like, okay, you know, I can't, you know, that just makes people get sick if they're going to be sick at all. And nothing, the energies don't make anything really happen. It's just, it's how it's supporting you. So if you're like at the moment, I'm a bit under the weather. I can feel it. You know, I've been burning the candle too much, and I need some sleep. And I just, and so if I was to go and sleep in that energy, I wouldn't probably do very well. But if I'm on top of the game, probably won't bother me at all. So because I know the underlying energies in my chart.
Sorry, just muting new people coming in.
That's okay.
So, Jan, oh, okay, I'm not sure where that sound. Oh, there we go.
Somebody's making lunch, and that sounds.
Yes. Okay.
I could have some lunch right now.
What's the rule? If you're making it, you've got to share it.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. So, Jan, I'm curious about, you know, people who are metal rats. Is this a good year for them or a bad year for them? What does it mean if you actually belong to that astrological sign?
So you're talking about people who are born in the year of the metal rat.
Yeah. Is it a good year for them or not?
So it's going to depend on all the different layers in their chart. But we can say in general, right, and this is really in general, because your true astrology chart's got your 4 pillars. It's called 4 pillars of destiny, and that's based on the day, the hour, the month, and the year that you're born. And there's 4 pillars there with different information. And so when somebody is a metal rat, if you're looking at their year, we're only looking at the year that they were born. We're not looking at the rest of their pillars. And really the most important pillar is the day that they're born. So it's better to sort of like think, if you've got a rat in your chart, how it'll affect you, because the year is just a little tiny bit of it. So if somebody's got a rat in their chart, they'll know they've been born in the year of the rat, probably. They're born in the month of December, but each year the months vary. So it's not the 1st to the 31st. It could start the 27th of November and, you know, go on. So if you say roughly December, so the end of November, beginning of January could also be rat. And if born between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., they'll have a rat as well. So, you know, so some people can sort of like quickly work out, yeah, I've got a rat, definitely got a rat in my chart. Or when another rat comes along, it's sort of like clashing the rat. But it depends on what else is in their chart. So often if it's a little bit of a clash, it depends where it is. So we're looking at just the year. So we're saying somebody's born in the metal rat year or in a rat year, okay? So this year will, some people see them a little bit differently. But the ones who are really going to be easily noticed are the people born in the ox year. So the people who are born in ox year, the rat is their very best friend. And so regardless of the other layers, people will see them differently that year. That's very common. So that often the year where they get a promotion or they get married or something happens that people see you differently to how you were before, because it brings them an opportunity. It's like your best friend, your best bit of friendly energy arrives.
Sorry, so you were saying it's a good year for people who are an ox.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And wherever they've got the ox. So if you're
Yes.
born on Ox Day, it'll be a good year for romance. If you're, born on an ox month, it'll probably be a change in their work or home. It just depends. There's many layers.
Okay.
So it's really the ox, the rat, and the horse that are mostly, you can quickly have a look at and say there's going to be an effect. The horse sits opposite the rat on the 12 astrology wheel, animal wheel. So we sort of say the rat being opposite, we like offending. If you're a horse, you like offending the rat because you don't want to stare at the king. Imagine just staring at the king. You don't do that. But on other layers, it can bring a very lucky combination. So unfortunately, it's like, to be very clear, you'd need to be looking at all the different layers to know what's truly going to happen. But the ox is the one that is the most easily to see. They often will get an opportunity this year. Some nice opportunity comes to them.
So just going backwards, just to ask for a little bit of clarity. So you have 4 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And so people might assume that they're born in a certain year, but you might also have another animal in one of those pillars. Is that correct?
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're born between 11 and 1, you've got it in the hour.
Yes. So it's in the hour. So that's part of that. So some people think, oh, they don't have an ox in their chart, but you might be born in an ox hour. And therefore, the energy of this year will actually be perhaps a little bit more beneficial for you.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. So January is the ox month.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, it doesn't start on the 1st and the end of at the end. But roughly January, if you're born somewhere around, if you're born in January and maybe the end of December, maybe the beginning of February, you could have an ox in your month. If you're born in the middle of January, you've definitely got an ox in your month.
Okay. And this changes from year to year, though, when the Lunar New Year starts, depending on when the new moon was.
Yeah, the Lunar New Year changes depending on the moon, but the people's charts don't change.
Okay.
But everyone goes through another layer of energy. Every 5 years, you get another layer of energy that affects your chart. So you could have the rat coming in and it affects that layer of energy as opposed to your actual 4 pillars of destiny. So, the rat, the ox, the horse, the dragon and the monkey are the ones who are the most affected by the rat this year.
In a positive way or a negative way?
It all depends on their chart.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just not easy to say because it just depends on the chart.
Okay, so overall, if we're looking at the overall universal energy for the year of the rat, what would be your top 3 tips for the year?
Definitely this year is about putting a budget into place if you don't have one. It's definitely about cutting off all cords or, friendships or groups or whatever it is that you doing that you don't really want to do anymore, but you keep doing it because you think you should, or, you're just being loyal to the detriment of yourself. And it's about going inward. It's about being very, very mindful. This year, I believe this year is all about innovative thinking. So how we do that on our own is up to each one of us. So, if I was to take up a mindfulness course and go inwards, my inward thinking is probably going to be more the Buddhist spiritual way. That's probably more fitting to me, but for everybody it could be different. But this is the year to go inwards and really be honest with ourselves and come out expressing ourselves very clearly, especially to ourselves, not to everybody else, and say, I'm no longer doing this. I'm now doing that. I'm expressing it clearly. I'm being very honest. I'm looking at both sides of the story, the yin and the yang, and put those budgets into place. Being very, very creative. It's a wonderful year to be creative.
So, you know, so it's kind of working with the energy. So when you are aligned with the energy that's flowing and you're aware of it, and then you focus in towards that, it will support you.
That's right. And so with when we started talking about the feng shui energies. So the feng shui energies can be a bit more definitely, you know, specific to an area, as opposed to your astrology, where I've been a little bit vague because it depends on the chart. But so for this year, for example, in the center of every home, there's gossip energy. So it's in the center of every single building and every single home. So there's a lot of gossip energy going along. And anything that comes from the center goes out to every single layer. And so gossip, you know, use it or be used by it. So gossip is also the energy for social media. So for businesses and that, you know, it's really great energy if perhaps they've got someone who's like reception, if it's in the center, they can sit there and do the social media and gossip about themselves. That's a wonderful way to be using that gossip energy. If it depends on what the layers that are underneath as to whether that will naturally be a bad energy or good energy for each spot. But if you just use the energy, it can support you. So you know there's gossip energy there in the center. So now gossip nicely about yourself, gossip nicely about others, and then it will support you. There can't be any negativity, because what you do for yourself using our man luck is the most powerful of all. But if people are suffering from any gossip negativity, you can put a glass vase with 3 sprigs of greenery in. So just a glass vase with water and 3 sprigs of greenery helps to reduce that gossip energy, and you have it in the center of your home.
So in other words, we find the center of our home, and that's where we sit and do all our social media posts if we are running a business.
Yes, yeah, definitely. The other areas that we can run through. So if people just look at their houses, and you can easily do this with a compass, any old compass, and even your phone compass. When I do my feng shui, it's down to like the degree, to the, like, this is my little low pan, and it's literally down to 1 to 3 degrees. You know, it's very, very, very exact. But on this layer, this annual layer, honestly, you can just get your phone compass, which is really not great, and you can stand in the middle of your house and just see what area is what. And we use declination for our compasses. So ours are a little bit different to any other compass, but you can look at your compass and you've got 45 degrees to play with, which is a very big, wide amount of room, right? And so I'll run through some of the directions where you can do things this year. But if you just stand in the middle and you go, okay, so roughly my lounge is in the north, and roughly my kitchen's in the south, and roughly I'm sleeping in the east, and roughly my son's bedroom's in the southeast, then you can do the little hints and tips that I'm happy to run through now quickly with you. But also it's on that little freebie that that I've got to go out, if I can make sure it goes out right. So would you like me to do that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so it's quite simple, those annual energies, because this is in every single building. But like I say, it depends on all the other layers. So when you look at all the other layers, if I was doing an actual consult, then I can see opportunities that weren't there before, because there's other annuals as well. But just this little simple thing, everybody can do it. So you just want to stand in the middle of your building and get your compass, and you want to see which direction, as I said, is roughly what. Just take a moment, you know, and like I say, like, oh, I'm sleeping in the east. Okay. So if I was to run through them, I've just made myself a little note so I don't forget anything. So I've done the center. The center's where there's lots of gossip energy. So you can, you know, a lovely glass vase with 3 sprigs of greenery looks wonderful anyway, you know, so just use that anyway. I always want to warn people about the Chinese bamboo, because a lot of people use that lucky bamboo. It is actually not bamboo, and it's toxic to cats. So, you know, I don't recommend the lucky bamboo. But if you haven't got any cats, then that's okay. So the north this year is got, I'm trying to think what I could tell you to do easily. So the energy that in the north is all about arguments. So if you've got your front door facing the north, or your lounges in the north, you might have your kids arguing a little bit too much this year. And you just need to add some red decor, some red cushions or something like that. That can really help to reduce that argumentative energy. But again, you can use it and make it all about a competition. So it's the same energy. And you think when people are arguing, it's because they're competitive, like they want their voice heard, they want their opinion listened to. It's the same energy. So with kids and that, you can make it a competition, like who can clean up the tidiest, quickest, who can do this, or PBs if you're doing fitness there, or if you've got your walk or something like that. Make it all about a competition, even if it's with yourself. And then the energy supports you. So if you're wanting to improve yourself on something, whereas the north is the energy of arguments, it's also the energy of competition, so you can improve yourself. You see how you can use it both ways? Like anything in life, you can use everything both ways. And if we look at the northeast, this is probably one of my most favorite spots this year. It's all about travel and writing, journaling and everything, but it's also a wonderful place to have a vision board. And so if you remember, the universal energy is about using your head and expressing yourself. So a wonderful place for a vision board. You can express yourself there, and it's all about travel, the layer of energy there. So you don't need to do anything, just hang out. Just hang out in the northeast. It's a great place to be. The east is all about, I put here misfortune and mishaps, but the east is not really great energy at all, and so you want to make sure that there's no red and no water features in the east. You constantly want to keep that area very, very quiet, and no banging and crashing and renovations if possible in the east. So again, just have a look and sort of see if you're sleeping in the east. You might want to see if you can move into a spare room or something like that, because it's not favorable energy at all. The southeast's got beautiful energy of just being in charge. So this is like one of our best energies in all the energies. It's just lovely. But if your children are sleeping in this energy, and this year they're very, very bossy, that'll be probably the reason why. And so you use that energy. There's nothing really to do for it. The south is the only other area that's got some concerns. So it's the east and the south that are the two areas in a home this year that are a little bit of a worry. The south has got the sickness energy visiting. So once again, you want to make sure there's no red, no water features. And in both these places, the east and the south, you want to add plenty of metal. So round metal bowls, singing bowls, all that jazz. You can, jazz it up. You can do white and grey and golden yellow decor. They all help with reducing that unhelpful energy. So you can see, it doesn't matter what layers you've got in your home, this is going to help that one layer and reduce that negativity or enhance the positiveness. So your southwest has got lots of creativity energy. So again, how we use it, you can do crafting. It's a great place for romance. You can use it for studying, teaching. All of that is involved with the creative energy. So southwest, good area. The west is also about romance. And one word of warning about the west, you don't want to leave any candles on. Well, you don't turn them on, leave candles lit rather in the west. You want to make sure that they are never left on their own in the west this year. It's another lovely spot for romance. And then we end with the northwest, and the northwest is just beautiful energy. So as you can see, there's only really this year the south and the east that you want to make sure there's no red, no water features. If you're sleeping in them, perhaps move out.
Jan, I'm curious about the candle.
It's because of the layers. There's some layers there.
Okay, so yeah, you can light a candle there for the romance. However, you need to blow it out when you walk away.
Yeah, don't leave it burning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super.
Just the layers. Just the layers.
Just the layers. Now, Jan, I know that your time is really tight, and we have to get you out of here on time today. And I want to offer some Q&A time for people. So I'm just going to let everyone know that it's a great opportunity there's a chat box that you can open up. And when you click on that, you can actually write in some of your questions. So why don't you go ahead and do that now? If you've got any questions for Jan, we can then go through those. We might not be able to do all of them if there's a lot, but please feel free to ask any questions of Jan while we just keep talking a little bit longer, just giving you all that opportunity. The other thing, Jan, is that if people are wanting to find out a little bit more, you've got one extra session. Is that sold out yet? It's this Sunday?
I think there's about 10 seats left.
Okay, super, because Jan had 2 sellout sessions earlier, and I was away and missed out on both of them. And so I've been very keen to have this one come up. And so Jan has opened this one up so that the people who couldn't make it were able. So there's about 10 spots left for that. But of course, that's only for locals. And so that's in Townsville for people who aren't living here. So that's, yeah.
And I might do a full webinar on the same, with the same slides. Fabulous. As I do for my talk. Yes, I've done one just for a couple of people that used to be clients up here. So it sort of made me realize I could do this for everybody, because I've got lots of people sending me, I wish I could come to your talks. So I might be doing that too.
Well, when you think about, 50 masters worldwide, you're in short supply.
So just on that, so I'm an accredited master, which means it's done by the International Feng Shui Association. Yes. So there are other masters, and then they're generally masters who've been given their masters by their own master. So it goes passed down the lineage. Because I didn't grow up in China and all the rest of it, I don't have that benefit. So this is the way that I would have to go with my, I've got a couple of my main Chinese masters, which well, I hope I'll have them forever. But with all the groups of all the different trainings that I've had from all the different masters, it then goes up to the grand masters to check all your work and check who you've been trained with, to check that it is all in the classical, true feng shui style, traditional way, and then they decide who can then become a master, an accredited master.
Because, I mean, and you've been doing this for a number of decades to get to this point.
Yes, but as I said, I think really the last 10 years is where everything changed for me to a serious level. Once I really connected with proper Chinese masters. And then a few years ago when I left my part-time job, because I was doing this part-time and that part-time, so left my part-time job and became full-time. And yeah, that's when everything really changed as well. But yeah, it was the Chinese, like actually getting my own Chinese masters. That was the big thing.
Well, we're all super proud of you. And
Thank you.
We like to blow and toot our horn about it a bit here in Townsville.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say thank you to you, Taryn, because you have always supported me along this journey. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, really, really do. Thank you very much.
Look, I'm sure that there's some kind of past life here happening. I'm just looking behind you, and do you want to just tell the people a little bit about who is in your picture behind you?
Yeah, so that was funny because Taryn organised a lady to come to Townsville who drew your guides, and I have always wanted to know, like, who are my guides? I hear about this all the time, but I've never looked into it. And so I went to see that lady, and she drew this man here, and I still hadn't seen the picture of him yet. And she was telling me all this stuff about, he's telling me that you go into all these buildings and all these houses, and she didn't know what I did, and you do this and you do this. And I was like, yes. And first of all, she thought that I kept moving house. And then she was like, no, you can't possibly keep moving all these houses. And then she said, I think his name's Lao Su. And I was like, Lao Su. And when he gave it to me, I just had goosebumps. And when I came home, I was Googling all about Lao Su, because my mum used to say something about Lao Su to me. And as a kid, and right through my life, I've said sayings that are his, that I didn't know were his. It was really freaky and weird and amazing and wonderful. And yeah, so he's got pride of place behind my back there.
Yeah, and make sure that we get all this amazing information. You stay on track and keep up on your life purpose and helping us to have homes that are better, you know, calibrated
That's
for
right.
manifesting greater success and health in all areas.
Because your feng shui is your the unseen energies that surround you that help you to be who you are, you know. So what you decide, you know, you get out of bed and you decide to improve your education or work hard or whatever it is, it's so much easier if your feng shui is good. You know, it's hard when you're fighting against your surroundings. And it was what ended up giving me all the answers to all my questions from when I was little. You know, why does this happen? Why does that happen? You know, when I look in people's astrology charts, you can just see it's all there. It starts there, it ends there, and it all makes sense. That's why it happened. You know, I've been back and looked at my childhood and my parents' lives and all the rest of it, and now I've got all my answers that I used to like why. So it's wonderful.
So really, in terms of what you're offering here, you know, you offer work on people's homes, but you also offer the Chinese astrology charts, which you never used to do.
Yes, I used to keep that very quiet.
Yes, it was a secret.
I know. I kept it very quiet. I was the last person actually to be into astrology, and my mum used to read me astrologies every day. She'd say, "Here's your instructions for the day," and I'd be like, "Oh no," you know, because I really believe that you just got to get out there and make your own luck, and which I still do. But she used to say, "Today is going to be a very, very, you know, hard day for you," and I'd be like, "Okay, today I need to make sure it definitely is a fantastic day to prove her wrong," you know. Now I have this understanding. Of course, it's what we do for ourselves that give us our biggest luck. But if you've got the astrology that warns you that you're going to go through a bad luck period, then you can be prepared for it, and you take certain actions and you don't take other actions, and so in the end it's not so bad at all. So the astrology is more sort of date specific, and it's for planning, and you can see what's coming up and be prepared for it and take advantage of all the good stuff. That's what's so wonderful about the astrology, and you can't really do feng shui without doing astrology. So I used to do the astrology, but I wasn't actually saying, I didn't offer it as a service. I was just looking at it, what are these people going through in their astrology? So I could check when things were going wrong in their lives. Was it just the feng shui? Was it also the astrology? You know, and I just sort of only spoke about the feng shui. And eventually I started to offer the astrology, and then, yeah, that's massive now.
I know, because, you know, initially, you know, I got my house feng shuied, and then all these people were talking about your astrology charts. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I wasn't telling anybody about it back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is a question
Yes.
from Jenny, and she said, did you say not to have water in the southeast?
No, the southeast is good.
The southeast is good. Okay, great, because she's got a fish pond in that area.
Yeah. So these energies are inside your home, but they're affected also by what can be seen outside. So when you're looking at the feng shui, you're looking at the mountains and the rivers and the swimming pools and the roads, and all of those are forms of qi, and they affect not only the outside but also the inside energies. So if ever there's a problem with water outside, to say somebody does have a pond in the east or the south, and I've said those two areas, as long as you tilt your blinds or, you know, have your things over so you can't really see the water, it's not so much of a problem.
Easily remedied. So Bronwyn is saying it's really interesting, but she's missed half of it. She wanted to know, what about mirrors? They have lots of sliding mirrored wardrobe doors, and my healing room has mirrors. She would love a tip about that.
So mirrors shouldn't be in bedrooms for a start. Mirrors are very yang, and you're wanting the bedrooms to be yin. You want it to be quiet and still. So mirrors bounce energy around, especially if they're opposite a window. And I think it's the Buddhists believe that when you go to sleep, your soul goes back home or something like that. And when you're coming back into your body, when you're waking up, if there's a mirror, it can actually distract that energy, whether to go into the real body or go over there. And they say that's when you wake up feeling like, I'm just not myself today. I don't know that. I'm not trained in that at all. But I've definitely had that feeling when I've woken up. And, you know, many, many years ago, I removed all mirrors from our house. The only thing we have is in the bathrooms. And it does make, I believe, such a big difference. When we go stay in hotels or apartments, we all take them out, turn them around, put them back up again, and make sure we put it all back before we leave. or we slide one on top of the other, so there's no mirrors bouncing, because you don't want that bouncing energy.
So what if it's a sliding door? What would you suggest there?
Yeah, those are the ones that I lift up and turn around and put back up again. Yeah,
so those
or you can just put a cover.
Okay.
Yeah, some people put some clients went to the other day, they had a great idea. They put brown paper on it, and the kids draw all over it, and it's their drawing board.
Okay, so Deborah's asked, is it okay to cover a mirror with a non-see-through fabric?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Bronwyn, I often open the wardrobe to cover the mirrors so I can make a cover. Okay,
that's
super. So if it's a sliding door, Bron, you can actually turn it around and face it in the other direction, because they just sort of click in and click out.
Yeah, just be careful. Some of them are really big and heavy.
Yeah, give it a two-person job. Else, even just sort of covering it with some brown paper or contact, or
contact. I was just about to say, yeah, I've seen some lovely results. I love when I go back to clients' houses and what they've done with, on their own imagination, that I would never even have thought of. And they've got contact, beautiful contact, like a lovely rainforest scene or something like that. And then they just slide that. So they've got one mirror and they've got the other door on top, and then they slide that one across at nighttime. And it looks beautiful.
So nighttime is even
that's when you need the no mirrors.
Okay, so okay, super. So I think that there's no more questions coming up. Do you have any parting words? You've filled us with loads of wisdom and loads of confidence. The interesting thing was, when we did the meetup, was, the next day after the meetup, and you spoke about, last year was it soil with water underneath. This year is water, but it can't be contained. Is that correct?
Well, the metal, it's metal and water.
Metal,
and the water's got nothing's holding it.
So, the next day, my mum sends me photos of her front lawn. She was down the Gold Coast, completely flooded, but then it drained away quickly. Is that what it represents?
Yeah, so lots and lots. So you think metal's producing water. Metal's also higher up the sky. So heaven as well is all metal. So that's all being productive of water. And water, of course, is rain, as well as writing and traveling and thinking and creating. So lots of water being created this year. Okay,
so for people who experience the floods in Townsville and are feeling, there's a lot of trauma surrounding that. And, as it starts to rain again here now, I guess it brings up those memories. Yeah. Is there some sort of reassurance that it's not going to be the same as last year because there's nothing to hold it in? It's just going to drain away quickly.
Well, a lot of, when I looked at the layers for Townsville area, so last year it was not good energy for Townsville at all. So when I added that to everything else, I was just like, no, it's not going to be good, right? But the layer for Townsville for this year is all about future money, and it's about travel. It is about water as well. So we're going to get lots of water, but it's about that whole thinking and creating and going within. It's more of that lovely universal energy. So I think we're going to have a lot of water, but I don't see it being as messy as last time, put it that way.
Super. Well, I know that I've been racing around and putting plants in the garden, thinking if it's a water year, I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. That's what it's showing, plenty of water.
Oh, super.
So, the other areas now, there's a lot of sinkholes and, the ground's not being supported very well. So I think Townsville, we need to be really creative here, and it's better for our economy. I can see, this looks like a change in our economy too.
Well, I think we've got an election coming up, so we'll see what happens. So, look, Jan, thank you so much for your time, and I promised you that I would have you out of here on time today.
Thank you.
All this information is always incredibly generous on your part and always very valuable, and I appreciate every minute that you give so willingly to us and to your community. So if you haven't hopped along before, Jan is the Chi consultant. She can be found on Facebook and on Instagram, and you can always send her a message if you're wanting any help with your layers of energy. Is that correct, Jan?
That's true. And I just want to say as well a big thank you to you and everybody, because I couldn't be the chi consultant or got my masters and everything without all the wonderful clients that I've had in my life, because you can't get there without your clients. So, you know, it's been very, very, you know, wonderful having all the support.
Oh, it's great to have you in our town. So thank you to all of our participants today. Deborah's just, I'll just finish up with, Deborah's just said, this is fantastic information, Jan. Do you have packages available to look at someone's personal and house energy? So do you want to just address that question?
Yeah, people
quickly?
just email me and then I send you the information. So it's just the chi, who am I? The chi consultant at gmail.com.
Okay.
So it's the QI consultant at gmail.com.
Fabulous. So thank you to all our beautiful participants today. It's been wonderful. And we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. And I'm sure, you know, if you hop on Jan's Facebook page and follow her, she'll be, you know, keeping you up to date with some handy tips throughout the year and giving you that kind of support. So thank you one and all, and thank you, Jan. And have a fabulous rest of the last day of this first month of a new decade. There's a lot going on, and we'll catch you all in a month's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.